So lately, a topic has been on my mind a lot, and also I think there are many factors as to why love is going to be the topic of this video. Shockingly, surprisingly, it's just I do feel that, for example, on my TikTok, most of the readings are surrounding love. Love. So I'm constantly bombarded with thoughts and ideas and messages that are regarding love. That is the biggest topic people want to know about in their lives. Whether how is love going to be in a few years? Are they going to find the one? Is the person that I'm seeing the one for me? Is it better for me to break up with my partner? And all of these questions. And I do feel that also due to the changing of the seasons, we're still kind of like, we're having summer days and it still feels very summery. But I know that next week it's gonna start to cool down, and there's just like this whispering in the wind that is just saying autumn is coming. And I do feel that also with that changing of the season, it makes us, kind of like start to look a bit more within and not so without. I feel that through summer, you're just kind of like awake most of the time, doing a lot of stuff, and now it's just kind of like making sense of all the things that happened during summer. So to actually start off with the video, we're gonna do a tarot reading about love, and I kind of want to have like two cards as like the structure of this reading. I want us to think about love in two different ways. So we're going to bring out the devil that talks about lust and desire, and sometimes, those choices that attach us to people and to situations. So for this love reading, in a way, we're going to ask, like, is desire ruling our connections? Is love guiding us towards freedom? Or is love just guiding us towards attachment? These two cards are going to be very fundamental during the whole video. First, through this reading, to see what messages does the universe have to share with us regarding these two topics. But also, we're going to be talking about love sometimes as like desire, as like lust, as an emotion. And then we're going to talk about love as a decision, which is kind of like that axis between the devil and the lovers, being ruled by desire and the physical body of emotions and pleasure, and then being ruled by something higher, which is the lovers. It is a calling to use a bit of our brain and our head and our wisdom to decide, where are we placing love? Anyways, let's get into this reading. Hopefully you guys will be listening to me. I wasn't grabbing my microphone. So we got a very interesting answer. On the side of the devil, we have fortitude or strength, or as Aleister Crowley in the Thought Tarot put it, lust on the devil's side. And then on the lover's side, we have the hangman. So we're getting this very clear message regarding letting ourselves be ruled by the inner, kind of like the lion. This is ruled by Leo, kind of like the ego in the sense of wanting others to desire us, and that is okay. I just feel that sometimes there's this romanticized idea regarding the topic of just being different, and I don't want people to like me, I don't want people to desire me, I just want to be me, which is a valid point of view. But then there is, I feel like, this natural instinct for us to be accepted by others, to be desired. And so when we do feel that we're getting rejected in a sense, kind of like our animal instinct, which I feel like the strength card is all about dominating, this animal instinct. And the animal instinct is very hard to manage and control, and it can only be kind of like calmed down through consciousness and compassion and presence, which I do feel that both the Hangman and Fortitude is talking about. So we're definitely getting this message of being compassionate, of being patient, and of letting things unravel, because the Hangman is just like, okay, let's change our perspective on the situation, but this will require some stillness. I say this too much, but I do feel that it is an invitation to stillness, to sitting with ourselves and our body. Even though we do want to be accepted and desired by others, we cannot let that desire rule our actions and rule where we are placing our energy, which is the levers. And as I've said it before, where our attention goes, energy flows. So if maybe we are putting too much attention to a particular person or a situation that is no longer making us feel calm in our body, then we're just like feeding fire to kind of like that pit that just wastes our energy. And so I do feel that it is not a moment regarding love to make big decisions, but it is a moment to sit with them, to meditate on them, and to not let that animal instinct and desire just rule our actions right now, which sometimes it's fine. I mean, pleasure is amazing, and I would never be someone to slut shame or to make people feel negative about their desires. It is our instinctual nature to feel desire and to be ruled by them. And I do feel that there are seasons in our lives where we are ruled by desire, by the devil, by the body. And I do feel that with the changing of the tides and the changing of the seasons, now we're kind of like, falling back from the fire aspect of summer and desire and all of these very important bodily pleasures now to maybe think a bit deeper of what is love and how can we live through this experience of love in different ways. And I was thinking to myself, like, I'm always talking about love, but I never really have read on what other people have to say about love. I mean, I have heard maybe podcasts or just like other things where people are talking about this topic, but I've never really read into it, and I've not read any classical figures and what their ideas were regarding love. So it's funny, and I think I'm not the only one that has ever really read up on it. So it's funny how this topic that obviously rules almost everyone's life, or at least I could see that through my tarot readings, how intensely we feel about love, yet we never really do the work to investigate, other thoughts regarding love. And I did do the homework of reading up some texts, some books, and like some different ideas surrounding love. So we're going to look at love through the lens of the tarot, which was kind of like this message, and just mash it up together with, these thoughts and ideas of love that some philosophers gave to us. So first, let's think about love. Like, love is this, I would not like to say it emotion, because I think investigating it really changed my idea around love as an emotion. I feel like love does awaken different kinds of emotions within us, but I would not consider love as an emotion per se, or at least not the sustainable kind of love. And so we're going to talk about love, at least, or we're going to try to find a sort of definition through 3 different Greek words or ideas or concepts, which are Eros, then Agape, and then Philia. So Eros just like classically refers to kind of like passionate and desirous love. That's where the word erotic comes from Eros. Though Eros actually had other brothers, which are actually quite many, but I think like the most famous is like Eros, Hymeros, and Bothos. And then there are many different, which are called like the Erotes. They kind of were born out of Aphrodite, or at least like that's one of the ideas regarding, ancient Greek times. They would say that the Erotes were born from Aphrodite, but then there are also other myths which are more ancient, and they do talk about Eros. But anyways, Eros can be both erotic or romantic longing for beauty and for truth. And I feel like talking about beauty and truth, it kind of like really takes me to Diotima's ladder of love, which is, first when we, like our first experiences, or at least that's how I kind of understood it, that we have regarding love is always because we have a lustful attraction to someone's beauty, either, the body, being the face and the whole body, and then we just have like this first like physical connection towards the person, and then after that will actually like launch us to a different perspective on beauty, which here I would like to make a parenthesis, which is, there's like the idea also of like earthly love, or also kind of like the heavenly kind of sense of love. The earthly love is all about, like appreciation for the beauty of someone's physical appearance, or also the whole like lustful and the desire and the passion and the connection that we may encounter with people. But that is like the first step for us to experience kind of like that first level of love, and then we can become attracted to the mind, to their intelligence, to their knowledge, and also like to their capacity to feel and to show how they feel for us. And and then we just see something different in the person, and we can be attracted to their kindness, to their courage, to their good sense of humor. Things are a bit more abstract and that are not necessarily connected to the physical aspect of someone or the physical body, but also these abstract concepts or ideas that we have regarding this person, now that we lived the physical and now we've launched ourselves into actually liking more abstract things about this person, there actually could be more out of that love, which is, I feel like that this love can feed into like the wider social forces responsible for enculturing us with such qualities. The love for this person can make us, feel more grateful, or have a sense of love for books, because maybe the person is really into books, or into being kind, or seeing the kindness in others and the kindness within ourselves. So it's kind of like, in a beautiful way, saying that love should launch us into this heavenly sense of love, which is of loving life and all of the beautiful things that come with it, sometimes even like the hardships and stuff. So that would be like the higher, or one of the highest levels of love, in a way, as how I saw it in Diotima's ladder. And I like this phrase where she says like, we want to like shed the pollutions of mortality and all the colors and vanities of human life. Like that would be kind of like that ultimate part of love. Obviously that is complicated, but I feel it personally resonates with me, and I do feel that I do want my loving relationships or love to take me to that space of shedding these superficial things and look at love in both the abstract and also making me love life as well. Though obviously that is not their responsibility, but that kind of is that desire that we have to live, regarding love and Eros. And then we're going to go into Agape, which actually, it's funny because like during like the classical period in Greece, it was just like another word for like love and affection, and just like goodwill. So it was just like a very basic idea, and it wasn't really talked about. But then it was actually Christianity that transformed it to divine love, the love that is selfless, the love that is kind of like the mother to the child, obviously a good mother, a loving mother to the child. That love where you just give on to others and you give to them without expecting anything from it, which is also a very beautiful version of love. And like for me, I feel that this also kind of like steps into this topic of like love has also become this concept and idea that has been sold, that capitalism has really bled into. And so then we do have love also as just like when we're finding love, at least in these modern times, it's like we're searching for the best product, the best looking person, the smartest person. They have a good job, and like all of these check boxes that we have just to have like that best, or like the perfect one. Reading an article which was talking about Erich Fromm, where he wrote The Art of Loving. He is this German psychologist and also philosopher, and he has like this book which is actually from the 50s, quite famous, which is like The Art of Love, which doesn't talk about love as a product or just like, you know, trying to find that perfect person, but knowing that love is actually an art, knowing that art is a discipline, that it's something that we can work towards becoming better at it, and that we can work towards creating loving bonds, and that the true beauty and nurturing aspect of love is working on our loving relationships, which doesn't have to always be romantic, which we will talk about Philia, the love for our friends, or kind of like that friendly love. And Aristotle says that it's actually one of the most important kinds of love. And he would even go off to say that it's the most important kind of love, or at least he gave it more importance over romantic love. Also knowing that your romantic partner you can also have this friendship or this very friendly connection with them. I like this phrase. Success in love is actually less about securing the best deal, the best person, and more on nurturing our own capacity to love. Nurturing our own capacity to love is not an easy path, as we've been, seeing here. It is about controlling our lust and desire, and our need for things being instant. It's just thanks to these things and media and everything, we just want instant gratification in all of the sense. And it is, here we go back into the strength card, and it is about managing this lust and this desire to getting like this instant pleasure or joy out of someone, and knowing here with the Hanged Man that love also requires a sense of sacrifice, in the sense that we have to really spend time and energy on nurturing that capacity that we have to love. In a way, saying that commitment is the essence of love, because you are committing, you are deciding, like the Lovers teaches us, to commit to a certain person. We are committing to make the sacrifice of not being out in the world searching for instant pleasure, which is completely fine. And I am not shaming that, because I do that all the time, and we all do, and that's completely fine. But then I think when we're talking about love, people really do want to think about love in a more meaningful and deep way. And I do feel like at least this book talks about that, and that, that does not mean that our fleeting loving experiences are not meaningful, because they're also very meaningful, and they're just part of that experience of learning, sometimes learning that things are fleeting, sometimes learning more about ourselves. And in that sense, we are also nurturing our capacity to love, because we gave ourselves the space, time, and energy to commit. Even if it didn't work out, even if it was fleeting, at least we committed. It doesn't have to be an official relationship, but we committed to give ourselves. But I think it's also very important to know when to stop. And then there's like this phrase, which I absolutely adored, from Erich Fromm. To love means to commit oneself without guarantee. To give oneself completely in the hope that our love will produce love in the loved person. Love is an act of faith, and whoever is of little faith is also of little love. And I feel like this might spark a strong emotion in many ways. I know it struck deeply within me, and it really resonated, because I do believe that whoever is of little faith is also of little love. because I'm not talking faith as in like, oh dear God, but it's like having just faith in the kindness of people, having faith in the kindness of the world and the beauty, having faith that our life is meaningful in a way, even if sometimes it might not feel that way. So if we are people of little faith, whether that be in the Christian or any other kind of God, or just, faith in the earth and our divine mother and the divine sky and all of these other magical beings, I feel our capacity to have faith does really mirror into our capacity to love, because love is also untangible, just like these other experiences and the feeling or the experience of faith. If love were only a feeling, it would be fleeting and not long lasting. If we want to nurture our capacity to love, we cannot base our loves on our emotions, because lust and both the bad and the negative emotions that we experience, they also disappear and they also fade. So we cannot base feeling bad or just having bad emotions as a point to jump and make a decision. We have to bring other topics. How capable am I of continuing to love, even if I might not get anything in return? Maybe I'm not capable, and that's also completely fine. It's also a decision that maybe right now the love has to be refocused to myself. And just to close off this video, let's talk about the different kind of love, which is philia, the love that we feel for our friends. Here I'm going to read something which Aristotle writes in the Nicomachean Ethics, which is, we consider a friend to be one of the greatest of all good things, and friendlessness and solitude are very terrible things, because the whole of life and voluntary interactions are with loved ones. I think solitude is important for us to realize the importance of friends, community, and that the very beautiful moments are felt more intensely when they are shared with those special loved ones. And I would also like to bring this phrase from a movie where I remember it from the movie, but it's also a book. Into the Wild, there's this phrase, which is, I don't want to ruin the movie, but in the end, he writes something in his journal, and it was, happiness is only real when shared. And the character was in very dire circumstances, but he also lived such beautiful experiences along his adventure. And I think him looking back in that moment, he realized that, happiness only feels real when it is shared with others. I do feel that it is multiplied. I do feel we could feel happiness by ourselves, but we cannot lie to ourselves that it's way more potent when it is shared with others, just like magic and many other experiences. Aristotle also creates 3 ways to categorize friendship, which is of utility, of pleasure, and of virtue. Utility is when you have a friendship because they can do something for you, or you can do something for them in return. So it's just more like an interchange, and then you kind of create this connection and this friendship, but these might be very fleeting. Then there is of utility, and then there is of pleasure, which is you share an activity. So it's you share a sport, and then you make friends doing a sport, or you a special group of people. Maybe if you stop going there, maybe you won't continue sharing this. So it's just a pleasure that you share together, which is also quite fleeting, because it's dependent on our ever-changing lives, likes and dislikes. And then finally, virtue is the highest kind of friendship. It's people who influence you positively, who push you to be a better person, and that it's based on 2 self-sufficient equals. You don't depend on the other, but when you two come, it's because of your desire to be together and uplift each other. It is also something that is selfless. You really, truly, and honestly just desire and want the best for these people. And that is the friendship of virtue, which is kind of the one we want to have, I guess, which are the most meaningful friendships. And that we can also have these friendships with our loving partners, and so they can also be included there. But then also there's people with whom we don't have maybe lustful connections, but we do share friendships with, and there are friendships with whom we share lustful connections, and that is also completely fine. Aristotle also said that excellent friendships are a recipe for happiness. I hope you guys like this video. I feel honestly, it might be a bit messy. I was just putting off the talking about this because I'm like, oh, if I need to read more books, I need to get more information, and I need to structure it a whole lot better. I just didn't want to script it anymore. I just knew I had a message to say, so I might as well just say it and not think about it so much. Anyways, I hope you like this video. I'm sending you lots of blessings, and I hope to see you here next week. Bye.